I've been terminated. What does that mean for my future? The story starts many years ago, but the reality is I recently got a call from my employer. And yes, technically I was still employed until a few days ago. I've been on disability for the last few years, but I've recently lost my job. They terminated me officially. It's put a bit of a pit at the bottom of my stomach. Let's go back a little bit, back to 2021, January of 2021, when I finally made the decision to go on to disability, when things just got way too complicated with my health. I was really sick. I just couldn't keep up anymore. And my boss and I at the time looked at each other. We made the really hard decision that it was time. I couldn't keep going. And at the time we were hoping that a few months of really good rest and some short-term disability would bring me back to life and would bring me back to what I was and who I was before. You know, I'd been struggling with health issues since 2016, but we were hoping that this break and a little bit of investigation with my health would be enough to at least get me back to working again. If you guys remember 2021, everyone was at home. I was actually working from home and had been for almost a year at this point. And so it's not like I was driving or any of these things. I was working from home already, and I still wasn't able to keep up. And so that was already really hard. Still wasn't keeping up. Short term came and went, and I wasn't getting any better. I was actually getting worse. I had another chat with my boss, and at this time the CEO, and we sat down via video chat and realized that I was to go on long-term disability, which was really hard. We knew at this point that there was a really big chance that I wasn't coming back. But the reality was we had to keep just going. They had to keep moving on. The reality in Canada, most provinces, and in Manitoba is that my position had to stay open for 2 years. They have to keep my salary and my position open for me to come back. A lot of things changed. Pretty much everyone I know who I used to work with is now gone. 2 years have passed. I hadn't really heard anything. The new CEO reached out to me and said, hey, we want to let you know that we're here to support you. They were really fantastic. They wanted to really be there for me, and they said, you know, we want to keep things status quo for a little bit. We want to give you a little bit more time. And that was a really big relief because there was so much changing at the organization that I really didn't know what to expect. Now a year goes by. We are now 3 years into this very long disability journey, almost 8 years into my disability journey, into my health complications. And they have made the decision to terminate me. And yeah, I've lost my job. And I try not to cry about it because it's okay. We knew it was coming. But it's really hard because the title, that job, it was my dream job. It was the job that was the pinnacle of my life. And I had a lot of emotional and a lot of sentimental attachment to that job. I know that there might be a day that I might be able to do it again. And if that day were to ever come, they even told me, you know, we haven't heard anything but good things about you. And if you ever want a job again, please think of us first. And that was so nice to hear. But the reality is that as much as I have good days and bad days, I am still on disability, and I am lucky to have the insurance that I have. I'm lucky to live in Canada and have insurance and have the healthcare system that we do, as much as we like to complain about it, we're lucky to have all these things and have access to all of these things. I'm lucky to be able to live at home, have a roof over my head, and have money coming in every month because we paid for insurance. I had an employer that supported the fact that we paid for disability insurance. It doesn't make the fact that I am now technically unemployed, not technically, I am unemployed. I'm officially going to have a gap in my resume. I am going to officially be without a job. It's hard to emotionally grasp that. It's hard to deal with. We're at this point in my journey where it's time to move forward. And I say this in the most positive way, even though I've got tears rolling down my cheek, because it's not a negative thing. We knew this was coming, and it's just an emotional moment in my journey because it was such a great time in my life, and I wish it was still my reality. Sometimes life throws you challenges. It doesn't necessarily all need to be negative. I was having a conversation with my aunt this week, and she was like, Steph, as much as you had to say goodbye to that life, that project manager life, you've been able to accomplish so much since you've left. You've been able to take care of yourself, and you're actually starting to get somewheres with your health. And hopefully, in 5 years, you were even further. And that is true. We've been able to start stabilizing some of my health symptoms. We don't know what the next 5 years are gonna look like. And yeah, day to day, it's still not easy. You still have to keep moving forward. And that's not easy to say. But my aunt was saying how you have two options. You can look at it glass half full, or you can look at it glass half empty. And she's like, Steph, I hope you choose to look at it glass half full. It's one of those things that you just have to make a personal choice. I know I'm very lucky to have all these things around me, to have a super supportive husband, to have my disability insurance and all of these things. I think the hardest part through all of this is knowing that the loss of the job brings the loss of my benefit, the loss of a title that I could lean on. Over the past few days, the biggest thing that really focusing on what my needs are going to be moving forward. We're going to be doing an entire video dedicated to individual benefits. And this is something, I didn't even really think about because I've been with group benefits pretty much my entire adult life. And so I'd love to know in the comments, are any of you on individual benefits? Have any of you had to look for benefits? Because I'll be looking for benefit over the next week or two. This is going to be a very quick journey. I was given less than 30 days to look for benefits, which is the one biggest challenge probably with this termination, was that I was only given 30 days notice of the termination of my benefits. And so this is going to be a very, very challenging couple weeks of looking for individual benefits for myself, because unfortunately, Luke's benefits are just not enough to cover all of my needs, which is a really interesting thing that a lot of people really close to me who I've had this conversation with are really surprised by. Fortunately, one group insurance is just not enough for someone with complicated medical needs like mine. That's something we're going to be talking about quite a bit. I might even turn it into a series. We'll see. It's really going to be dependent on what we find out there, what the benefits look like, because honestly, I've never done this research before because I've honestly never had to. So if any of you have done it or have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments down below, because this is going to be a really intense 30 days of research and picking a benefits group for myself, and moving forward. I know it's not going to be an easy journey as this kind of moves forward. It's probably going to be the hardest part of my job loss, quite frankly, with my disability continuing, not have to worry about that side of things for the next little while, thankfully. However, the benefit side is also a huge piece of things that I haven't had to worry about for a while. That is now a huge question mark that I now have to deal with. And so Wish me luck on my journey of researching all of these crazy private companies, and hopefully we find a benefit plan that not only fits our budget, but also is going to fit my needs, because I know there's a lot of them out there, and I know it to be an easy task, let alone the timeline that I have. And we have an infusion in less than 3 weeks, and so we'll see how all of that comes together. My infusion team doesn't know yet, and so I have the wonderful task of telling them this week, and so we'll see how all of that goes. Last but not least, I wanted to touch on the fact that technically without a job, I don't have a title anymore. And so to end today's video on a bit of a high note, I wanted to let you guys know that I've officially come up with a new title for myself. I will be introducing myself when people ask what I do for a living. I am now CEO of Health Fontaine. I thought that was appropriate and hilarious at the same time. I think I might even embroider it on a shirt or something. CEO of Health Fontaine is now going to be my new title. I think that you guys should embrace that for yourselves if you guys think it's funny too. We have to literally be the CEOs of our own health. It's a huge part of our lives, especially as people with disabilities. I think we should embrace that and not be scared of it. I know this video has been intense, and it's been a really, really intense week with all of this information coming in. We'll keep you guys updated as information comes in. I know this benefits video going to be coming probably next month as we get all this information coming, so stay tuned for that. Whew. Deep breaths. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to slow your roll. If you liked this video, Luke and I actually just celebrated 11 years last year. I did a really cool 10-year anniversary video. You can check it out over here.